You all know there are hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only, some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. However, BetUS has been in business for over 30 years. They have future bets that are paying out in the thousands, and there's still time for you to bet on the Super Bowl, the National Championship, and even the NBA Championship. Just use the QR code right here, and it'll take you to the BetUS site. BetUS. Check it out and bet responsibly. Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%. I've got to get in the habit of turning my microphone on right before I turn on the show. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are hanging out with you here on a Wednesday. It's hump day. We're halfway through the week. January mercifully coming to an end. This month has felt like at least 2.5 years. I don't know what the hell's going on. I hate these 5-week months. It's like the worst thing in the world. And to start off a year this way just feels wrong and sacrilegious to me. Nonetheless, it is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on X, YouTube, Facebook, and of course on Roku with our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Check out what National Streaming Sports has to offer throughout the day. Later on today, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be on the National Professional Sports Show. We're going to be talking all kinds of stuff. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Super Bowl. Maybe Keith and I get to take our victory lap over everybody who was on the Bills bandwagon, voting and hoping against all hope that the Kansas City Chiefs would lose. Winners find a way to win. More on that a little bit later on coming up in the show. Of course, we are brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. That's RevAutoCarCare.com. Support the people that help support this show as well. All you got to do is go over to RevAutoCarCare.com, use promo code Tipton33, and save up to 15% on all of your car care needs. Of course, MyHappyNuts.com/Mike Tipton. Check out the amazing packages they have over at myhappynuts.com. As a matter of fact, I'm going to head over to the website right now. Boom, right there. Already saved in my browser history. I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe I shouldn't brag too much about all that. But the best part is free shipping over items that are over $75, guys. The holiday, Valentine's Day, coming up right around the corner. A perfect time to make sure that you are not out there looking like a Wookiee, but that you're out there. I don't know if I can say that. Oh, okay. Whatever. Make sure you're looking good, guys. Maybe on another show I'll say what I was going to say right now. Again, like the weird moral compass I have of, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that as I'm in the middle of saying something. www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Check out what they've got. As a matter of fact, the Happy Nuts Pro Bundle, $40 off today and the rest of this week leading up to the Valentine's Day holiday. Guys, take care of yourself, not just for yourself, but for that special somebody in your world. Boom. Super sexy. All right. Obviously, I don't want to beat the Super Bowl into the ground. That's going to be the topic du jour for the next 2 weeks. And honestly, how much can we talk about one singular game without just breaking it down ad nauseum. Later on, yes, I will talk more about the Super Bowl. Not going to be breaking down the X's and O's as of today because I don't want to bore myself with stuff that doesn't necessarily matter at this exact moment. But what is interesting to me is what's going on in the NFL as far as the coaching carousel goes right now, right? We've already got, what, 6 teams that have a new head coach and one team that we're waiting to see what's going to happen there. Kellen Moore, the leading candidate to be the head coach with the New Orleans Saints. I feel like it's only a matter of time, probably going to wait till after the Super Bowl to announce that he is the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Now, I look at the hires that have been made, and I'm surprised by some of them and just taken aback by the majority of them, right? Like a lot of these hires are really good hires, especially given what the team is. And we'll get back to the Saints here in just a minute, but I wanted to kind of go over some of the hires that we saw right here, right? The very first hire that we saw was Mike Vrabel being hired by the New England Patriots. Obviously, not a good look for the Patriots. You have a guy that's a coach for 1 year in Gerard Mayo, and then you just toss him over to the side because you want to go out and get Mike Vrabel. But is it a great situation that Mike Vrabel's getting into? And whenever you look at the roster that the New England Patriots have, it's not a great roster. And everyone, like ESPN, Yahoo Sports, all these places where they have like coaching higher grades, which I think is just the dumbest damn thing in the history of sports. These coaching higher grades are saying, what a great hire by the New England Patriots to get Mike Vrabel on this team. And I have to sit back and ask myself, what are the expectations of the New England Patriots? Even with Mike Vrabel, I don't think this is a great team. Like, obviously, you have a top draft pick, and like maybe that's going to be something that works out great for you. Drake May has shown that he might have a little bit of something there that you could work on, right? Like Ramondre Stevenson, decent enough running back. Maybe you got to get some more depth. You definitely need help in the wide receiver area and the tight end area. Like, there's a lot that needs to be addressed in New England. Why all of a sudden is the Mike Vrabel hire what's going to be the thing that takes them over the top? Even at their best, they're not better than Buffalo. Even at their best, I don't think they're better than Miami. Not hard to be better than the Jets, and we'll see how the Jets do since they have a new coach as well. But I look at that situation in New England, and I think it's comparable to that of Las Vegas. I think it's comparable to that of Jacksonville, and I think it's comparable to that of New Orleans. I'm not too sure that I'm sold on this Mike Vrabel being the guy in New England just because he's Mike Vrabel. It doesn't do anything for me, right? Like, and I'd love to see what people genuinely think is going to be the outcome for Mike Vrabel in New England. Obviously, you don't want to be the guy that follows the guy. And I think that that's what Gerard Mayo was, is he was just that bridge guy, right? You don't want to be the guy that had to step into the shoes of Bill Belichick. Because if Vrabel had been at the helm of that team this year, it would not have turned out well for Mike Vrabel. I don't know if people would have been calling for him to be fired. I just don't think it would have been a great season. And it would have really, I guess, messed with the aura that Mike Vrabel has. The New England Patriots, to me, are an interesting team to watch solely because I don't have any faith in this team at all. I don't think that they have the makings right now of a good team. Look at the last 6 or 7 years for the New England Patriots. They win a Super Bowl because Tom Brady and them willed themselves to win a Super Bowl. They haven't drafted well. They haven't done well in free agency. What makes you feel like all of a sudden now the New England Patriots are going to be the team that is going to change what they've done for the majority of the time? Hell, even with Tom Brady, the only time they made a really big splashy move was to get Randy Moss. And then after that, look at who the hell Tom Brady was throwing to. You can say, sure, Wes Welker was okay. Danny Amendola was okay. Julian Edelman was okay. but it's not like they had a plethora of talent to choose from in New England for Tom Brady. So they haven't had great free agent pickups. They haven't done really well in the draft in at least a decade. What's going to change now? Like, why is it that we automatically assume that Mike Vrabel being with the New England Patriots is going to be the thing that takes them over the top? The one coaching hire that I think that you can look at and say, okay, this is a really good coaching hire, is the coaching hire of Chicago whenever they hired Ben Johnson. The Bears, to me, that's a team that's going to be on the come up. Sucks that they're in the division that they're in. Because, again, you were at the bottom of the barrel. You have now the new head coach that comes in with the amazing offense and, the great offensive coordinator that could be considered responsible for the success that happened in Detroit. Ben Johnson's going to be, in my opinion, in such a great situation because there's zero expectations of that Chicago Bears team. Because you look at it, Green Bay was really good, Minnesota was really good, Detroit was really good. You also have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal who I don't think was that bad this season. I thought he was okay. What was it, 200 less passing yards than that of Jaden Daniels, 4 less touchdowns than Jaden Daniels, less interceptions than Jaden Daniels. But we call Jaden Daniels the transcendent type player because Washington had a better team around him than what Caleb Williams had in Chicago. Without a shadow of a doubt, a better coaching staff. Whenever Eberflus is your head coach, and welcome to Dallas, Eberflus. Jesus. That sounds embarrassing. Welcome to Dallas, Eberflus. The defensive coordinator in Dallas now, Eberflus. Schottenheimer and Eberflus. Jesus Christ, it's not going to be good for the Dallas Cowboys this year. Anyway, looking at what's in Chicago, you got a team that's going to have a lot of salary cap, so they can go out in free agency, they can spend money, bring talent around their new rookie second-year quarterback, address the defense, and you're playing with house money. You are technically the Washington Commanders of this year, where there's no expectations for you. Remember, entering this season, all of these power ranking things that were out there in the NFC East was Philadelphia, Dallas, the Giants, and then Washington. Yes, people had the Giants as the team to beat over the Washington Commanders. Goes to show nobody knows jack squat about anything when it comes to preseason stuff. The Chicago Bears are going to benefit in that area of, man, the rest of the NFC North is really damn good. The Chicago Bears were really bad. Let's see what they can do. And obviously, if you look at any of the Bears games, they were really snake bitten. There was a lot of these one-score games that they just weren't able to get stuff done. The Hail Mary in Washington that helped propel them into going into the playoffs. Like, there was a lot of stuff that really hurt Washington or Chicago. But having Ben Johnson as the head coach now in Chicago, to me, is so much more beneficial than a lot of the other hires that are out there because you have a guy that can help cultivate this young quarterback, right? Then you compare that to his counterpart in Detroit, Ben Johnson's counterpart in Detroit, and Aaron Glenn, as he moves over to New York to be a part of the Jets franchise. What's going to happen in New York? Like, what is Aaron Rodgers going to do? Do you want to keep Aaron Rodgers? And if I'm Aaron Glenn, I'm moving the hell on from Aaron Rodgers. I'm going out and I'm trying my luck with any quarterback, really. I saw on ESPN, what if the Jets bring Sam Darnold back? I wouldn't mind it because now you have talent around him. You have a halfway decent offensive line, and his salary cap impact isn't going to be the same of that as Aaron Rodgers. And to be honest, I think at this point in time, he's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. I don't even think that's disputable. Aaron Rodgers had a couple of good games to end the season. Sam Darnold had a really good season and a couple of terrible games to end the season. But it was more along the Minnesota Vikings offensive line than it was anything else that had to pertain with Sam Darnold. Obviously, the quarterback's going to get all the blame. The quarterback's going to get all the glory. I think Sam Darnold being in New York with the receivers that they have, if they keep, Devontae Adams, would be beneficial for Sam Darnold. But it's just weird to think that Sam Darnold would go back to a team that gave up on him, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Got rid of him so that way they can keep Zach Wilson? Like I don't know if I'm Sam Darnold if I want to go back to that franchise. And of course, that franchise seems like they've got something there that just the dome of depression that sits over the New York Jets. That, like, if I'm Sam Darnold, I don't know if I take that. Maybe they go out and they get a Derek Carr. Maybe they just punt on this season if they're the New York Jets, and you get someone like a Gardner Minshew or someone like that. But the New York Jets, to me, aren't as fun of a situation as what you've got in Chicago with Ben Johnson, right? It's almost like Spider-Man meme of the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. They're just sitting there pointing at each other because of the same guy. I don't know how this is a successful run for Aaron Glenn, because what do you define as success in New York with the Jets? Is it just simply make the playoffs? What are the expectations? I don't know enough New York Jets fans to even know what the hell the New York Jets expectations should be or what they had as expectations going into this year, right? Obviously, a ton of people thought a healthy Aaron Rodgers is going to get this team to a Super Bowl. They were drunk. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been to a Super Bowl in, 15 years? Why was it all of a sudden going to change this year? And he's had really talented teams. Let's not forget that about Aaron Rodgers. The New York Jets just didn't have whatever it is. And all the turmoil that happened over there. If you're the New York Jets, how do you bring back Aaron Rodgers if he does indeed want to come back? Because he was the catalyst for all of the strife and issues that happened in New York with the Jets. You fire your head coach, you fire your defensive coordinator, you fire your GM, and now all of a sudden, everything's supposed to change because Aaron Rodgers has a new coach? I don't think that's going to be the case. And eventually it comes down to, we've got to be able to look ourselves in the eye, Aaron Rodgers, one of these days, and realize maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it's me. Maybe I can be better. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on YouTube, X, Facebook, and of course on Roku with our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Shout out to my guy, Tommy Canazzo, who's tuned in right now on the YouTube channel, trying to grow that YouTube channel. So thank you so much, Tommy, for being on there, being dedicated. I love it. We're talking about the head coaching hires so far in the NFL, this first coaching cycle that was going on in the NFL. Mike Vrabel, Aaron Glenn, to me, not great situations. The best situation of them all so far, Ben Johnson in Chicago. Those are the three that we've spoken about so far. This is one that I think is interesting because I don't know what to expect. Like, we know this is a good coach, Pete Carroll, being the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Tommy Canazzo asking, are all of the jobs filled? All but one, but more than likely that one, given news that we've gotten overnight and over the last couple of hours out of New Orleans. For those that don't know, Mike McCarthy and Cliff Kingsbury have pulled their names out of consideration with the New Orleans Saints. All signs are pointing that the New Orleans Saints are going to hire Kellen Moore, former offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, Los Angeles Chargers, and Philadelphia Eagles over the last 3 years. So that might be the next head coach, more than likely the next head coach, and the last coaching vacancy that is filled with this offseason. But Pete Carroll being in Las Vegas, Tommy Canazzo laughing at Kellen Moore, the guy that's been on 3 teams in 3 years, going to a 4th team possibly in 4 years. Pete Carroll being in Las Vegas, to me, is extremely interesting. We know he's a good coach. Been successful everywhere that he's been, outside of the Jets and the Patriots, right? Like in recent memory, right? Whether it was USC whether it was Seattle, he was a successful head coach. But you just look at the talent disparity in Las Vegas. And there's a lot of questions here, right? Like, who's going to be your quarterback? I would love to see a reunion of Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll in Las Vegas. I think it would be fun. I don't know if it would be successful, but it would be fun. And it would get storylines going and all kinds of stuff, right? But there's just such a lack of talent on this Las Vegas team that it makes you wonder what the end game is, right? Like what's the plan going to be for Pete Carroll long term with Las Vegas? Because this isn't a long term hire. Is it to be there, cultivate a culture, and then have a coach that's like one of your assistant coaches take over later on? Because we have to remember, Pete Carroll's 73 years old. Even with Bill Belichick in the league, Pete Carroll was the oldest head coach in the NFL. He's only gotten older, right? How long is he going to want to do this? How long is he going to be able to do this? I like the hire if it was for a team that was closer to winning, I think. Like that to me would have been the spot, right? Marlene Salcedo saying buenos dias, Tip, buenos dias to you. Talking about all the coaching hires right now in the NFL. Pete Carroll to me would have been a good coach for like the Dallas Cowboys. I'm looking at any of these other teams that might have needed a head coach. I think the only one would have been maybe the Dallas Cowboys, maybe the Jets, right? Because you need to instill a winning culture and not completely building from the bottom like the rest of these teams are. Maybe Chicago would have been a good spot for Pete Carroll. But again, I like the hire. I think Ben Johnson being hired in Chicago is the best of the hires that have happened so far during this coaching cycle. It's going to be interesting, right? Like, because there's not a lot of talent there in Las Vegas. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a running back. You don't have any receivers. You got a good tight end in Brock Bowers. You don't have a good defense. Maybe you build around Max Crosby because that's a good piece to have on the defensive line. Or do you trade Max Crosby? I know Mark Davis and his weird bowl haircut have said that they're never going to trade him, but why wouldn't you? Like, he's at max value right now. Max Crosby at max value. You see what I did there? Damn, I'm good. That was so stupid. At least I can laugh at myself. But Pete Carroll being in Las Vegas, they're so far away. So far away. Marlene Salcedo. So, Elon Musk buying the Cowboys. I mean, I know Jerry would never sell, but Cowboys as robots? Maybe we win. If that would be the case, if Elon Musk were to buy the Dallas Cowboys and turn them into robots, they would get off the production line very late and they would blow up upon impact. I mean, I'm about it, but maybe we get someone that's not Elon Musk. Like we've seen a lot of failure, and of course, obviously, to succeed, you got to have a little bit of failure. But Jesus Christ, man, how many rockets, how many Teslas need to blow up for us to realize, maybe somebody else? Because right now, I mean, a cocaine-fueled Jerry Jones probably shouldn't have said that. Jerry Jones being drunk as all hell off of Johnny Walker Blue, to me, a better shot than that of Elon. Looking at some of the other coaches that are out there. So, Chicago, Ben Johnson, to me, best coaching hire that's been made so far this offseason. Pete Carroll, to me, the second best. Now my third best, just because I'm really intrigued to see what this does for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Cohn, former offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL. We saw what he was able to do with Baker Mayfield as his quarterback. Can he be the guy that goes into Jacksonville and helps revive the career of Trevor Lawrence? Because it looks like people are starting to give up on him. Trevor Lawrence is a bust, but they've got some talent down there, right? Like, it seems to me like there's just one small thing missing in Jacksonville. Maybe it's the head coach. Maybe it's the offense, right? Doug Peterson being the guy there. Sure, he won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. Outside of that, he's had a pretty, I wouldn't say mediocre, but less than mediocre coaching career, right? Maybe you bring in a new young offensive coordinator like Liam Cohen. Super nerdy. You can already tell by the way that he did the Duval. If you haven't seen that, check out the Liam Cohen press conference where he introduces himself and does the Duval. And I got love for the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Like I genuinely do. This is a team that was going to allow me to go to London to cover one of their football games whenever I got, the press credential to do so. I get contacted by like the London chapter of the Jacksonville Jaguars fan club, which is like 15,000 deep. Mind-blowing. And they were going to put me up in a hotel. I just needed to get a flight out there. American Airlines, I hate you. Unless you sponsor the show, in which case I will still hate you, but I'll be quiet about it. They have such a dedicated fan base for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, I want to see them have some success. I remember like the late 90s Jacksonville Jaguars, even those early 2000 Jacksonville Jaguars, of like, they were a good team. And they were always like kind of on that cusp. They were always in the playoff conversation. I think they made it to 2 or 3 AFC championship games over that time frame since they've been in existence, right? Like, and we're talking about one with Blake Bortles as well, which is kind of funny. But like those Mark Brunell led, the Byron Leftwich led Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, they've come up on some real tough times recently. But I just, like me personally, I just want to see a little bit of success there, right? I like Liam Cohen. I loved Tampa Bay last year. I thought Tampa Bay didn't get the love and respect that they deserved because somehow, some way, despite all the injuries, all the stuff that happened to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they just found ways to win games. Mike Evans, again, another season, 11 straight seasons of 1,000 receiving yards. They just found a way. Like, this offense was good with talent being decimated. Add some talent to Jacksonville, protect Trevor Lawrence. What can you do there? I think it's an interesting hire. I don't think it's going to be a great turnout because it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. But out of all these teams, the Jags are the only one that's in a division that you can say, anybody can win that. Do you trust Houston? Do you trust Houston to be the team that constantly wins that division? The Colts, the Titans, of all the teams, the Jaguars are in the conversation at least to possibly do something here. They're going to have a high draft pick. You've got some pretty good talent on the team. Maybe all it is the head coaching position. So I like the pick of Liam Cohen. I just don't know how you would gauge what success is in Jacksonville, right? Like, are the Jaguars really that team? Not 100% sure, right? So, Chicago, Jacksonville, Las Vegas, the Patriots, the Jets, and now we go to who I think is going to end last because no one coveted this head coach. Didn't even get interviewed for any offensive coordinator positions. Wasn't sought after by anybody. And it's the Dallas Cowboys hiring Brian Schottenheimer. I don't have to beat this horse into the ground. We already know what my thought process is on this. I think it's a bridge coach. I think that Brian Schottenheimer is Gerard Mayo, and there's a Spider-Man meme like, oh, you're me and I'm you. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be successful this year. I again don't. Out of all the teams that we spoke about, Chicago, Las Vegas, New England, the Jets, the Jags, the Cowboys are the team that has the most talent on it, at least on paper, right? The salary cap is going to be an issue. Brian Schottenheimer, I don't trust his offense. Again, he was the guy that was in charge of the Let Russ Cook movement, and Russ was out here putting hot dogs inside cereal and putting orange juice on it to wash it down, right? That was Russ cooking with Brian Schottenheimer as his offensive coordinator. The Dallas Cowboys, to me, the worst hire, no matter what happens in New Orleans. And now let's go to New Orleans. That might have been the quickest I've ever spoken about the Dallas Cowboys because I spent basically all day yesterday complaining about it. Again, all signs are pointing to right now that Kellen Moore is going to be the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Mike McCarthy and Cliff Kingsbury opt out, so they obviously know that they're more than likely not going to be the guy that gets hired, right? You kind of save face here. Like, I didn't want that job anyway. I'll just wait for the next coaching cycle. Mike McCarthy, good job on you. Good luck for you, my guy. Because as bad as the Dallas Cowboys situation is with the salary cap, where we know right now they've got a lot to restructure just to free up some money, I don't want them to restructure. I'm good with your $19 million. Spend that however you want to spend it on your rookies. Tank this season away, Dallas, please. For me, obviously, Tommy and I are in the same mindset that we think they're going to be bad next year, so they are going to go to the playoffs as a number 1 overall seed and lose in their first playoff game. But I look at the New Orleans Saints. Do you have a quarterback with Derek Carr? Spencer Rattler, is he your guy? Alvin Kamara getting up in age. Taysom Hill, 35 years old. But what really terrifies me, if I'm Kellen Moore, is this situation right now. The New Orleans Saints salary cap is $50 million negative. $50 million negative coming into this season. And when you look at the players that they have that have big contracts, Derek Carr, $51 million that he's making this year. Jesus Christ, to be a halfway decent quarterback in the NFL. I feel like I was born in the wrong time. I can be a short lefty quarterback and make a killing in the NFL just dinking and dunking and not being good at all. His dead cap space for Derek Carr is $50 million. That right there, that $1 million difference, not enough, right? Not enough to say, okay, maybe we can do something different. Then you got Cam Jordan making $20 million, his dead cap space, $23 million. So you can't get rid of him. Taysom Hill making almost $18 million, his dead cap space, $18 million. Really can't get rid of him for anything, right? The fact of the matter is the New Orleans Saints are in hell right now. They are in absolute hell. Even if they got rid of all of these contracts that they have with dead cap space, they would still be negative $2 million. Like, if they found a way to get rid of all the dead cap space, they have the least amount of actual salary cap and the highest amount of dead salary cap coming into the 2025 season. That means they can't be buyers and they can't even be sellers. Obviously, they have almost a full roster. You're going to see what you get with maybe you can trade Alvin Kamara. Maybe that's the only trade piece you have right here. But his dead cap space is $25 million. He's only making $10 million this year. So if you trade him, your salary cap would decrease by $15 million. It's like there's nothing that they can really do that makes you think, oh, wow, like they can actually do something here. And then you've got void years for guys like Chase Young. How Chase Young can't find a team is insane to me. Come to Dallas, please. His contract can be voided out. So maybe you save $9 million there. But is it really worth saving the $9 million? Kellen Moore is entering hell. And if I'm Mike McCarthy, and if I'm Cliff Kingsbury, I'm kind of glad that I don't want that Saints job because they're not going to be good next year. They might be the exact same thing that they were this year. That's not a good job to have. And you have less talent on that team than another team that's in salary cap hell like the Dallas Cowboys, right? There's so much more questions on the Saints than there are on any of these other teams here on this list. Chicago, great salary cap situation with a rookie quarterback and some pretty decent talent. Las Vegas, a good salary cap situation, not a lot of talent, but you can start rebuilding because you have money to do so. New England, same situation. A decent amount of salary cap space here. You got a quarterback, maybe, right? Like you got a rookie quarterback, so maybe. The Jets, you got some talent. See what happens at quarterback. What are you going to do there with Aaron Rodgers? Jacksonville, you've got a quarterback as well. You've got some pretty good receivers down there. You need a running back, but actually I think Robinson Jr. was okay, so maybe you don't necessarily need a running back. Maybe you just need defense. Dallas, you got the Dallas Cowboys. There's the Dallas Cowboys. What do you have on New Orleans that you can even use as a trade piece? And it's nothing. So in order to even start this season, they need to restructure all these contracts, which means the $60 million they were supposed to have next year is going to dwindle down to a minimum, or a maximum rather, of possibly $5 million in salary cap space. So you have 2 straight seasons where you have no money you can spend. You're $51 million over the salary cap this year with pieces you can't even trade because it hurts you so much more. Kellen Moore is walking face first into hell. Shout out to my girl, Sonia Pearson, for tuning in right now. Prim and Proper Sports saying good morning. She is sharing the show. I appreciate that. Appreciate the love and support over on the YouTube channel. Trying to grow the YouTube channel. So make sure you all follow Prim and Proper Sports as well. Some great stuff she's doing Friday nights with the fellas. Always a fun time to listen back to her and J Train, seeing the way that they talk back and forth. Great back and forth on sports topics that they're going over here. If I'm Kellen Moore, I don't know if I want this job. Obviously, you got to take it because how often do you get head coaching opportunities? But there's nothing there in New Orleans that makes me think that you have any reason for optimism. And this is coming from me. From me. One of the more annoyingly optimistic people that I know. I'm trying to find a spin on how to say, oh man, I was going to run through a wall yesterday for Brian Schottenheimer. And then Jerry Jones started talking. And I just decided that wall was not going to be ran through for me. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love and support. I'm all about symbiotic relationships. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, I'm super excited about this because I finally get to start talking about my favorite sport. Tomorrow, my guy from the Houston Rockets analyst, Ryan Hollins, is going to be joining me here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We're going to talk about the NBA season so far, the surprising season with the Houston Rockets, and all the amazing things that they're doing over there in Houston. Of course, I want to talk about the rivalry here, the Texas Triangle, the Mavericks, the Spurs, and of course, the Houston Rockets. All 3 of these teams are on the come up, and it reminds me of like the early 2000s, right? Where you had like the Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker Spurs. You had the Dirk Nowitzki led Dallas Mavericks, and then the Yao Ming led Houston Rockets. It feels like we're getting back there again. And I loved that place of basketball. Like that was my favorite time of basketball. My dude, Ryan Holland's going to join me tomorrow. So check out all the stuff that he's got right there. Also follow him on social media as well at the Ryan Hollins on all of the social media platforms. Okay, enough about that. I'm excited. That's my guy. I got nothing but love for him. Also working on getting Tim Hardaway. So we'll see about that. The UTEP 2 Steps own Tim Hardaway. Trying to get him on the show as well. Sonia Pearson saying Jerry is not making valid decisions. Horrible. I like the decision for what I think the plan is. I just don't know if Jerry Jones and I have the same plan. I think that's the issue here, right? Is do Jerry Jones and I have the same plan? Because I think what they're doing is they're punting on next season. The salary cap for the Dallas Cowboys is going to be a terrible situation next year. Do not restructure any more deals. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm not restructuring anything because in 2026, you can finally get out from under that enormous albatross of a contract with Dak Prescott. Instead of paying him $60 million, you can only pay him $20 million to leave and you save $40 million. I'm doing that. I'm doing that because you know what you get out of Dak. And you can be awful for Arch. Hashtag awful for Arch. Trademark my guy, James Steele. Sonia going on to say, will be an amazing show. How exciting. Congrats on that. Merci beaucoup. I appreciate that so much. That's my guy. Like we've been working on the last couple of years trying to get some stuff going together. I worked with him over at ESPN. We were on the NBA Insiders, him and Shanae Agumake. Great people along with Brian Windhorst. That to me was one of the most fun shows I had because all we got to do was talk about basketball and just everything basketball related, especially this time of year with the trade deadline happening. Oh, man. Oh, man. Sonia going on to say, how am I just now finding your Facebook page? I've got to do a better job of sharing my stuff. I genuinely have to. Tommy Canazzo saying, but he's not. That's the problem. I agree, my dude. Me and you, I think we're kind of on the same page. Me and Jerry Jones, I guarantee we are universes apart from what we think is going to happen. And can I also say that, like, someone in Dallas, someone like your marketing people in Dallas with the Dallas Cowboys, can someone please tell Jerry Jones that glory hole doesn't mean what he thinks it means? Because back in the day, whenever he was a young man, it meant like you hit an oil well, right? And you got glory. That was your glory hole because you hit an oil well. My guy, in 2025, it doesn't mean that anymore. Someone needs to save Jerry Jones from himself. He already sounds like a doddering old man. We don't need to let him continue going down this path. Save Jerry Jones from himself. If you're in the Dallas Cowboys marketing or PR or anything of that nature, please, please, please stop letting him say that word. Jerry, come here real quick. I know you think it means this. Here's a video of what it actually means. And I promise you he'll stop saying that word. It's embarrassing. Sonia Pearson saying Jerry hiring within is delaying the inevitable. Again, like I think he's a bridge guy. I think he's only here for this year. He's Gerard Mayo, Spider-Man memes, staring at each other. Like it's not going to be a good season for the Dallas Cowboys by any stretch of the imagination. Again, tank this season away. Brian Schottenheimer will be fired at the end of the season. Find somebody that you can bring in. My guy James Steele, I got nothing but love for you, is saying hire Sark from Texas, bring in Arch Manning, and then you just grow from there. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. I genuinely, I'm not mad at it. I think it would be. I think it'd be fun. I also don't think Jerry has that type of forward thinking, right? Whenever you're an octogenarian, do you really plan for the future? And I think that's what I'm looking at right now, right? Like you've got an 82-year-old Jerry Jones who hopefully is alive for a long time, but is willing to relinquish some of the power in Dallas. Is he really able to be like, you know what? I have a 5-year plan. What would your 5-year plan be at 82 years old? Make sure I can kick Metamucil? Like genuinely. Don't wear diapers by 87? Like what is the plan, the long-term plans for an octogenarian? There is no such thing. Sonia Pearson saying, chill, that clip is horrible, along with come out and see my pet monkey. Sonia also going on to say, that's why I said on my show, short-term hire, same 12-5 max record. I don't think so. again, the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a lot of turnover this year, right? 21 free agents, $19 million that you could spend in salary cap. If I'm the Cowboys, I ain't spending a damn dime. I draft, I do what I've got to do. This season, for me, the best record I can see the Dallas Cowboys having, maybe 5 wins. Tommy and I are on the same page of you get 3 wins. 3 wins. Split the division, beat Washington, beat Philadelphia, beat New York at home. You'll probably get 4 wins because the Giants are horrible. So maybe you get 4 wins. I want them to beat Vegas. I don't want 5 wins, though. That's way too many wins. Get the number 1 overall and just see what you can do to rebuild. You cannot trade Dak Prescott right now. No one wants that contract. It's too big of a contract. You're going to lose out on Cooper Rush. You're going to lose out on, a lot of depth that you already had because you're not going to have enough money to pay for it. And even if you want to hold on to Dak, at least he can teach Arch, right? Like maybe that's what it is. You begin the transition from Dak to somebody else. Crazy to think that Dak's going on, 9 years now with Dallas? Jesus, that's insane. Anyway, that's what you got to do if you're the Dallas Cowboys. Like that's simply all it is that they've got to be able to do. Augustine saying, I am back again. This thing having a job, a real job, stinks. Tell me about it, my guy. I left my job as a teacher back in November. I started focusing on doing this every day back in November. And it's been, for me, again, this is my therapy couch, right? Like this is where I come. We just talk, we hang out, we have ourselves a good old time. Obviously, like I know I can't just rely off of my veterans disability all the time. So I've got to go out and get like another job. But I'm enjoying this time right now of like, look, I'm just going to get maybe a part-time work from home job, man. Where whenever I'm done with the show, I can do that for a couple of hours and do my thing. But I am loving this right now. Sonia Pearson going on to say, oh, that's a good point. Jerry planning 6 months in advance max. Maybe, right? Like, I don't even know if Jerry has like enough foresight to see the end of this month. And we've got 3 days left, 2 days left, and the rest of this month. I don't know if Jerry's even planning that far out. Again, what's the 5-year plan? Don't be in diapers. Jerry and his pet monkey's glory hole all are horrible. Sonia going on to say Dak needs to go while y'all can get a few coins from him, but they can't. That's the thing is like, even if you trade Dak for any type of picks, if they trade Dak this year, his salary cap number is $61 million. If they trade Dak this year, the dead cap space that creates for the Dallas Cowboys is $121 million in dead cap. So you wouldn't even really be able to spend that. And then that adds on to next year as well. The 2026 season for Dallas, they get $103 million in cap space freed up. Do not restructure the deal with Dak. Do not trade Dak this year because that's going to impact the $103 million you get next year. Next year. That's all it gets focused on. Next year. Okay. I wanted to talk about this, and we'll do this over the next couple of minutes. And I laughed. I laughed out loud whenever I heard this because Mike the telemarketer, that's a scary call. Could you imagine me calling you up being like, would you like to talk about your car's extended warranty? I don't think I'm going to go that far, though. I don't think I'm going to go that far, man. But I saw this and I got a little, I don't want to say peeved, but I questioned as to why we have to have this conversation right now. And people were saying it's so ridiculous. And I don't think it's a ridiculous conversation. I think it's a great conversation. Is it too early to consider Patrick Mahomes the GOAT? Like genuinely, is it too early to consider Patrick Mahomes the GOAT? He's been in the NFL now 8 seasons, started 7 seasons. They've been in the AFC Championship every single season that he's been a starter. This is going to be what, their 5th Super Bowl that they've made with him, eyeing their 4th Super Bowl win that they have with him. And I get it. Those are team accolades, right? Like all of that is just based off of team stuff. And I look at the things that would make you a Hall of Famer. Augustine's saying he isn't the GOAT, Brady is the GOAT. Yes, I agree. But is it insane to put Patrick Mahomes in that conversation? Because if Patrick Mahomes retired today, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback playing 7 seasons. And then you look at this stuff. In just his 7 seasons, he's already number 48 all-time on the all-time passer list. 32,352 yards for his career. That's more than Kurt Warner. That's more than Dak Prescott, who's played a year longer. That's more than Randall Cunningham. That's just under Troy Aikman. That's just under Cam Newton. That's just under Tony Romo. And you look at all the careers that are ahead of him in just, again, 7 seasons. 7 seasons. All the people that are ahead of him played a minimum of 11 seasons. And he's already number 48 all time. Then you go to passing touchdowns, right? Because that's always our thing. We got to look at passing touchdowns. We got to look at total yardage. We got to do all of that stuff, right? Sonia's saying, oh, please not Pat. I guess so. Dusty going on, I don't think so. He's done so much in a small chunk of time. It is impressive. Tommy Canassa saying a little too early, but he's headed there soon. Brady is the GOAT, but Mahomes is still climbing that ladder and doing well. I agree. Brady is the GOAT. Anyone that knows me knows the top of the man crush list is Tom Brady, right? You cannot deny his greatness. But if Patrick Mahomes becomes the first quarterback to win 3 straight Super Bowls, if he becomes the first, if he wins 4 Super Bowls in his first 7 seasons with MVP awards and the single season passing touchdown record, what would it take for him to be considered the GOAT? I don't think he needs to win another championship. He's done. He doesn't need to win another championship at all. He's got nothing to prove. If the ghost he's chasing is Tom Brady, there's a real, let Patrick Mahomes right now play as long as Tom Brady did, and he shatters every single record that Tom Brady had. You cannot deny the man's arm talent. You cannot deny the just his ability to win games, right? He's got that Michael Jordan, I'm going to win this game no matter what. I will eat your soul because I'm going to win this game. And to me, it's the same. It's an unfair conversation to question whether or not Jordan is a GOAT over LeBron. Jordan's always going to have that, right? Jordan won 6 straight or 6 out of 8 NBA championships. What would his career have been? What could the numbers have been for Michael Jordan if he doesn't retire twice before he ultimately retires the 3rd time, right? What could his career have been if he just played? And I'm a firm believer in his career would have been insurmountable, right? He played 14 seasons, Jordan did 14 full seasons, and retired number 3 all-time scoring. Everyone else ahead of him played minimum 20 seasons, a minimum 20 seasons. And we're talking about Karl Malone. We're talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain. We're talking about Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. All played 20-plus seasons, where Jordan's number 6 all-time at 14 seasons, right? We've got to, think about what that could be with Patrick Mahomes. Is longevity the thing that's going to make him the GOAT? Because I assure you, and I know this is going to sound like sacrilege to a lot of people, myself included, because I'm one of the people that, again, Tom Brady on the man crush list, number 1 all time. Would you rather have Tom Brady in his prime or Patrick Mahomes in his prime? And I guarantee, unless you are the most avid Patrick Mahomes / Kansas City hater, you're taking Patrick Mahomes in his prime over Tom Brady. Again, sounds like sacrilege. But the fact that this man, once again, number 48 all time in passing yards, number 30 all time in passing touchdowns. Again, ahead of Donovan McNabb, Jim Kelly, Steve Young, Dak Prescott, Terry Bradshaw. Like he's had an amazing career. And then, like I said, the single season passing record for touchdowns. Actually, I guess that's Brady, the one for like a first-year starter, like a 50 touchdown season, his first year as a starter. If you took Patrick Mahomes off the Kansas City Chiefs, that team is not sniffing the playoffs. Not sniffing them at all. If you put Patrick Mahomes on the Philadelphia Eagles, that team is overwhelming. If you put Jalen Hurts on Kansas City, that team is underwhelming. We need to accept and appreciate the greatness that we're having with Patrick Mahomes. Do I think it's an early conversation to have? Yes. But the fact that he's a Hall of Fame quarterback already in 7 seasons, you don't get that anymore. Like you don't get that. The only time that you have Hall of Fame type players like that is, like the Terrell Davises and the Gale Sayers and people like that who had a short career due to injury and stuff like that. Patrick Mahomes could feasibly walk away this season and would still be, at least for some, in that GOAT conversation, because we've never seen this. We've never seen that guy. And it's crazy to think that he might not even be in his prime yet. Like he might still be climbing to get to the best version of Patrick Mahomes that we have ever seen. I was asked if he plays as long as Brady, will you replace him on your man crush list, though? I don't know. Maybe the only knock on Patrick Mahomes is the voice. It's the voice. I don't think he'd be able to and even Tom Brady, he doesn't have a great voice, but he doesn't sound like Kermit the Frog. That wasn't even a good Kermit the Frog. I was trying to do a Mahomes voice. I can't even do a Mahomes voice. It hurts my throat. He sounds like a mix between Kermit the Frog and Cookie Monster. Kermit the Monster? Maybe we'll work on something there. But I don't think it's too insane to think about once you look at where he's ranking, again, in 7 seasons, where he's ranking amongst the all-time greats. I don't think it's too crazy to think that, again, if you put him in his prime against Tom Brady, you're picking Patrick Mahomes over Tom Brady. You're more than likely picking Patrick Mahomes over Peyton Manning. You're picking Patrick Mahomes over Aaron Rodgers. And outside of Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes has already had more individual and team success than those guys. Does he got to win one more MVP? Is that what it is? Like just win MVP awards? Because I feel like we're not going to give him another MVP award because, again, it's going back to the Jordan thing, right? Jordan should have won an MVP every single season he was in the NBA. But we get tired of winners, so we're not going to reward the winner, right? We got to give it to somebody else. That's what everyone has right now, is that Chiefs fatigue. I don't think it's insane to think about Patrick Mahomes potentially being the GOAT. It's just insane because he hasn't played that long. But numbers-wise, how can you argue? Rings-wise, how can you argue? It's insane. All right, everyone, I want to thank you so much for tuning into the Tipping Point with my Tipton. We will be back tomorrow, once again, trying to have my guy Ryan Hollins on the show with us to talk about the NBA. We've ignored the NBA for the majority of this season, and now it's time for us to get back to the NBA talk. Our guy Augustine saying, I understand that all the Mahomes love, but we have to be sensible. Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. Yes, he is great. Again, I appreciate everyone's love and support on the show. We will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day.